So the first one, if we're thinking about the P&L as like a funnel, like so the
Mhm.
top down, so revenue comes in and then there's cost that keeps being associated off of that. The first one is the money that's in your bank account is a payout, and before the payout, there is other costs associated with it. So you've
Mhm.
got your sales, but then a lot of the time the discounts are missing, the returns are missing, the shipping income's missing, and then also what's missing is the fees associated with it. So a lot of like the Shopify, Afterpay, PayPal, they all have fees associated. So those line items within a P&L are often missed. And that
Mhm.
gives me a lot big of a picture. If I can see that data, I get a better story of what's actually happening within the business. And then from there, I can start using, well, these are the areas to look at. And then we can also use this data to forecast. Not having, so if you're looking at the next section would be your cost of sales. A lot of the time they just need to negotiate either better prices or going back to the fulfillment and or looking at the increasing the price that they're selling at. And then, but that's all P&L side of things. And then also the next part under that would be, I put advertising spend under gross profit. So you've got gross profit, then you've got the advertising spend, and make sure that there's no fixed costs in there. There's no marketing expenses. It's just ad spend. And then under that, I have a contribution profit line item. And I think that's one thing that's always missing in the P&L as well. So that's the P&L side of it. So I can look at the profit side, but then on the balance sheet, most people forget the balance sheet. And a lot of the times the cash is sitting there in the balance sheet. There could be line items missing that's not explaining where the money actually is held, or they're way too much stock that's been held in cash.
Yeah, God, being an e-commerce business is such an interesting balance. I often hear e-commerce founders run into that problem where they're going, I feel like we're profitable, but we just never have the cash to rebuy inventory. If we can't rebuy inventory, then we don't have anything to sell, and then it's kind of this
Yeah.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really tough one, when it comes to e-commerce, but I mean, even any other business who's wanting to invest in their growth of their business, like finding that cash somewhere and,
Yep.
making sure it's available when it's time to invest, whether it be inventory or, in a project for the business, super critical.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about having the profit first method is that having that inventory account as well. So that gives founders the guardrails of how much they should be purchasing. I do see a lot of founders purchasing too big of a purchase order, especially on new products they haven't tested as well, and they just sit on the balance sheet. And then it's just I like having that bank account for inventory.
Do you think that they do that because there's a perceived discount to buying more stock, or do you think they're just not forecasting correctly?
Not forecasting
Mm.
correctly. And then a lot of the times lead times are really slow. So they just, it's more so that scarcity mindset that I need to buy now,
Mm.
rather than having that strategic output or having that forecast. And then you can play with the numbers to say, okay, well, this will get us through to this point, and then we can purchase again.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's so fascinating because it always just makes me think this is why you need someone like you on the team, because, there's just so many different nuances in so many different businesses. And as a business owner, we probably started our business because we were passionate about the industry or the niche, or we have some kind of skill set. And often our skill set isn't finance. And it's so
Yeah.
important to learn finance and be financially literate. However, there's such nuanced things that we can do to improve the health of our business. Having someone like you sit down with us is just so valuable.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I serve my e-commerce clients now, is that we did have that one purchase order that tipped us over the edge.
Mm.
And I wish I did have the same guidance that I provide at the early stages. Because yeah, we had one that was our biggest mistake, and we made a purchase order of $500,000 USD. At the time we
Wow.
were manufacturing wireless Bluetooth headphones. I would never do electronics again. Lesson learned. Um, And at the same time, that's when I had my first baby. So it was
Wow.
2019, she was months old, and this purchase order that we had, it was out with our customers, and then faults started happening, and then so we were getting the feedback, and they were like, oh shit. So then the manufacturer at the time wouldn't replace the product. We hadn't built
Oh,
a
no.
strong enough relationship with our manufacturer, and we put too much into that one purchase order that we had to pivot, and that's when we pivoted into a digital marketing agency at the time. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I serve clients at an earlier stage of their business, because I wish I had that guidance at the beginning as well.
Oh my God, isn't that crazy? Like, I love people that build a business off their experience and sometimes the experience isn't always positive, but I love that if you can turn that, this happened to me, let me make sure it doesn't happen to you. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
you need that resilience as a business owner.
Oh my God, I think that's like the number one skill you need as a business owner is, okay, the world is falling apart. What can we do? How can we get through this?
Yeah, collect yourself and pick yourself up and go.
Yeah, exactly right.